One day, a group of fishermen out at sea near Spain are getting ready to pull in their catch. But along with the fish, they accidentally drag up something horrifying, a creature that looks like a human mixed with a fish. The moment it starts lashing out, the captain does not hesitate. He shoots the creature dead to protect everyone on board. Not long after that, a transport coordinator named Barclay suddenly gets an urgent assignment late at night. After dropping his daughter off at his ex-wife's place, Barclay heads out with his colleague, Hannah. When they arrive, Barclay is brought face-to-face with General Austin. Austin puts the team on a plane and takes them, including Barclay, to a village called Cala Escondida, tucked away in the Mediterranean region. During the flight, Austin keeps everything vague. He says the mission is classified, and he refuses to explain much. That only makes Barclay more suspicious, especially since the call he got at home mentioned something about an oil spill. When they reach the village, Austin confirms the entire area has already been evacuated, giving the team room to operate without interference. Then he reveals what this mission is really about. He shows them the dead body of the same fish-human creature that was killed off the Spanish boat. It is now being studied so Austin's team can understand what they are dealing with. Austin officially names the species sea devil, and now Barclay is left wondering what kind of world he just stepped into. And this is where everything begins. This is the war between the land and the sea. Later that night, Hannah fills in the gaps. Austin's group is part of a global intelligence task force called the Unified Intelligence Task Force, better known as UNIT. Their job is to deal with situations involving non-human threats, and right now, that means the sea devils. According to their research, sea devils have existed since prehistoric times, and for years, UNIT has done everything possible to keep them hidden, all to prevent mass panic. Barclay also learns the real reason he was pulled into this. UNIT recruited him to replace a man named Roger, and Barclay is essentially their civilian representative. But as the days pass, things turn darker. Two UNIT members, Morgan and Isabel, are assigned to guard the Sea Devil's body. While on watch, they notice the ground around them suddenly changes into what looks like quicksand. Before they can react, both of them sink straight down. And in the chaos, the Sea Devil's body is taken by others of its kind. Austin's team rushes in after receiving Morgan's emergency report, but when they inspect the area, the ground has returned to normal, like nothing ever happened. With no other explanation, Austin concludes Morgan and Isabel died trapped beneath the earth. After that, Austin decides it is time for direct contact. Using specialized equipment, the team manages to summon the Sea Devils. With a translator device bridging both languages, they can finally communicate clearly. Austin now feels sure the Sea Devils were responsible for Morgan and Isabel's deaths. Even so, he offers a peace deal, hoping humans and Sea Devils can coexist. But before any agreement can happen, the Sea Devils send a warning. They call in more of their kind, and suddenly their presence is revealed across the world. Humanity is forced to face the truth, Sea Devils are real, and the reactions are immediate and divided. Soon after, UNIT sets up formal peace talks near the River Thames in England. To make the meeting possible, they use a special facility called the Waterway, basically a massive water tank system designed to connect the river directly to the negotiation building. Once everything is ready, UNIT orders the waterway route opened. Not long after that, several Sea Devils enter the waterway and finally come face-to-face with UNIT. Moments later, a representative of the Sea Devils appears. Her name is Salt. Unlike the others, she has a humanoid face and can speak human language because she is an amphibious type of Sea Devil. As the discussion begins, Jonathan, representing humanity, presents a gift in the form of a flower taken from Mount Everest. He explains that the flower symbolizes humanity's goodwill and desire for peace. In response, Salt reveals a painful truth. Many Sea Devils have died after being exposed to oil spills in the ocean. Others have been poisoned by toxic waste dumped into the water. Because of this, Salt holds humanity responsible for the suffering and death of her kind. Salt then makes a firm demand. She wants Barclay to be appointed as the new representative of humanity. According to her, Barclay shows genuine respect toward the Sea Devils. This demand immediately sparks internal conflict within UNIT, and the negotiations are temporarily suspended. Not long after, Kate, the director of UNIT, questions Barclay about Salt's request. She cannot understand why, out of billions of people, he was chosen. To her, Barclay is just an ordinary office worker with no special qualifications. Still, Kate reveals that UNIT has already secured Barclay's daughter and ex-wife as a precaution to prevent unexpected complications. A few hours later, UNIT brings Barclay face-to-face with Salt inside the same facility. At this point, UNIT still refuses to accept Salt's demand, believing Barclay is unfit for the role, but Salt makes her position clear. She did not choose him for his skills or status, but for his compassion. She then issues a warning. If Barclay does not meet her again as humanity's representative by the next day, the peace talks will end.
Barclay will be present at dawn tomorrow, or negotiations will end.
With no other choice, UNIT agrees to appoint Barclay as the official representative. Soon after, he is reunited with his daughter Kirby and his ex-wife Barbara. From that moment on, they are placed in a secure safe house under UNIT's protection. As time passes, the public learns about Barclay's role as humanity's representative. The reaction is intense. Many people question why someone with no diplomatic background was chosen for such a critical position. The decision sparks widespread controversy and criticism. The next day, negotiations resume. This time, UNIT instructs Barclay to follow a prepared script displayed on a screen to keep the talks under control. At Salt's request, the team brings in a glass of river water and hands it to Barclay. Salt then asks him to drink it.
You will drink.
However, UNIT quickly stops him after confirming the water is poison. Through this moment, Salt delivers a powerful message. Human pollution is slowly killing the sea devils. Moved by this, Barclay abandons the script and openly admits humanity's responsibility for damaging the oceans. The session ends with Salt visibly affected by his honesty. Days pass, and another round of negotiations begins. This time, Barclay announces that world governments have committed to reducing ocean pollution by 50% starting immediately. But Salt remains skeptical. She points out that reaching that goal would still take 40 years. Not long after that, a deep rumbling sound echoes across the world. At first, it feels like a storm, but the truth is far more shocking. What begins to fall from the sky is not rain, but massive waves of plastic waste once dumped into oceans and rivers by humans. People rush to escape as heavy debris crashes down without control. Before long, cities across the globe are overwhelmed by this storm of trash. It soon becomes clear that this disaster is no accident. The sea devils are forcing all human waste back onto land. Everything once thrown into the sea is now being returned. As fear spreads, UNIT once again attempts to negotiate peace with Salt. This time, Barclay speaks without relying on a prepared script, hoping his honesty will reach her. Barclay admits that humanity now lives in fear, seeing the trash storm as an attack from the sea devils. But from Salt's perspective, this disaster is a punishment meant to force humans to face the damage they have caused. In response, the United Nations proposes a ceasefire while peace talks continue. Salt agrees to the ceasefire, but only under 3 conditions. First, all human activities that pollute the ocean must stop immediately. Second, all of Earth's waters will now belong to the sea devils, and humans will no longer be allowed to cross seas or rivers. This demand sparks outrage, as it would bring global trade and transportation to a complete halt. The tension rises even further when Salt reveals her terrifying ability to transform into a male form when angered. This display silences all opposition. For her final condition, Salt demands that the next negotiation take place at the Romans Trench, a location 8 kilometers below the ocean's surface. In other words, humanity must meet the sea devils in their own domain. Through this final condition, Salt seeks to test whether humans are truly committed to peace. As the days pass, Barclay undergoes intense training and safety preparation for the deep-sea mission. Eventually, he is ready to depart for the pickup point. During this time, Kirby reveals that her father has become the target of online attacks. Many people blame Barclay for failing to stop the trash disaster. Barclay admits that fear has followed him throughout this mission. Still, he pushes forward, driven by his determination to protect both his family and the future of humans and sea devils alike. Soon after, a team of 6, including Barclay, is transported to a vessel. This delegation boards a compact submarine that will carry them toward their destination. Once preparations are complete, the mission to the Romans Trench begins. Because the trench reaches a depth of 8 kilometers, the team is placed inside the strongest submarine ever built. They are also given radio access to stay in contact with UNIT headquarters throughout the descent. While the delegation travels toward the trench, Kate, the director of UNIT, attends an emergency meeting with the British Prime Minister and other high-ranking officials. During the discussion, tensions rise as leaders argue over how to handle the sea devil threat. Unlike Kate, most of them believe war is the only solution. They are convinced that peace talks will fail. To them, negotiations are nothing more than a way to buy time, while the military prepares for an all-out attack on the sea devils. Despite her efforts, Kate is unable to stop this plan, as her voice remains in the minority. Back with the delegation, communication with UNIT suddenly goes silent after their radio systems fail. The situation grows tense as the submarine begins to shake violently under extreme underwater pressure. Moments later, it starts descending rapidly, as if something unseen is pulling it downward. Panic spreads through the team. A breach at this depth would mean instant destruction. Then, without warning, the submarine comes to a sudden stop. Before anyone can process what is happening, the hatch opens on its own, almost as if inviting them out. With no other choice, the delegation carefully exits the submarine. According to their pressure readings, the surrounding environment is strangely stable, similar to conditions on land. As they look around, they realize they are inside a massive enclosed area built with multiple protective layers that keep the ocean out. Not long after, Salt appears to greet them. She explains that this place lies at the deepest point of the ocean, a location never before discovered by humans. She also assures them that the environment is safe for humans. To prove it, she removes Barclay's helmet, which normally supplies oxygen and protection. To everyone's surprise, Barclay can breathe normally. Seeing this, the others slowly remove their helmets as well. As she guides them through the area, Salt explains that the sea devils have always lived in the oceans, especially in the deepest regions. However, they are nomadic by nature and constantly migrate across the seas. She then hints at the presence of massive life forms that coexist with the sea devils in the depths below. Soon after, Barclay becomes separated from the group while speaking with Salt. In that moment, the two make physical contact for the first time. That brief connection builds a sense of trust between them. Salt becomes confident that together, they might prevent a full-scale war between humans and sea devils. When the delegation reunites with Barclay, Salt leads them toward the Sea Devil settlement. There, hundreds of Sea Devil warriors stand ready, silently watching the newcomers. At that point, a member of the delegation named Ted presents Salt with a globe as a gift. Almost immediately, Barclay senses something is wrong and tries to stop it. The object turns out to be a bomb, and moments later, it explodes. Meanwhile, Kate is resting in her apartment while monitoring the mission's progress. Suddenly, an attempt is made on her life. She narrowly survives thanks to the quick actions of her partner, Christopher. However, he is critically wounded after being shot in the chest. After Christopher succumbs to his injuries, Kate calls UNIT's emergency response team for immediate support. Thanks to the information she provides, the attackers are eventually located. When they resist arrest, they are shot and killed. In the end, Kate survives the assassination attempt, but she loses Christopher. Meanwhile, the bomb triggered by Ted finally devastates the Sea Devil settlement. As the explosion wipes out much of the area and kills many Sea Devils along with members of the delegation, Barclay manages to survive thanks to Salt's help. Together, they escape to the surface and make their way toward the ship used to launch the submarine. Not long after, news of the underwater explosion spreads across the United Kingdom. Media outlets broadcast footage provided by the military. In the video, Salt appears to take responsibility for the explosion and claims that the entire delegation has been killed. She also states that their bodies have become food for the Sea Devils. In the final moments of the broadcast, Salt declares that all peace negotiations have failed. From that point on, all waters on Earth now belong to the Sea Devils, and any human who enters them will be killed. The broadcast quickly spreads worldwide, leaving humanity shaken and terrified. After recovering from his injuries, Barclay speaks with Shirley, a trusted associate of Kate. During their conversation, Barclay reveals that the confession video from Salt is fake. He knows this because the explosion was actually caused by the bomb planted by Ted. He also explains that he survived only because Salt saved him. Barclay expresses deep regret over UNIT's decision to imprison her. As time passes, a British military general named Oscar reports his findings to the Prime Minister. The investigation reveals that Ted had been working with a powerful organization known as Clemency. Evidence suggests that Clemency feared the Sea Devils would eventually replace humans as the dominant species on Earth. That fear is believed to be the true reason behind Ted's decision to carry out the bombing. Days later, Barclay witnesses a helicopter lowering a container holding Salt onto a transport truck. According to the driver, she is being taken to a UNIT facility and may be used for experimental purposes. After convincing the driver to hand over the keys, Barclay hijacks the truck and frees Salt. Releasing her into a nearby river to protect her. From that moment on, both of them become fugitives hunted by UNIT. While UNIT continues its search, Kate meets a new Sea Devil representative named Tide. Like Salt, he is an amphibious Sea Devil capable of speaking human language. Tide reveals that he has come to find Salt. According to him, Salt has been punished by her own kind for choosing to save Barclay instead of her people during the bombing. At the same time, Tide demonstrates a terrifying weapon that can turn moisture in the air into rust. With this power, he threatens to destroy the human world if Kate fails to hand over Salt within the given deadline. Meanwhile, Barkley and Salt hide in an abandoned location. As they search for a way forward, they grow closer. Salt admits that she already knows she will be punished for saving him, and that her punishment will be eternal exile. She then reveals her ability to sense human heartbeats, allowing her to read emotions with incredible accuracy. Through this connection, the bond between them deepens. Not long after that, Barkley comes up with a plan to escape with Salt to North Wales. He knows someone there who can be trusted in a situation like this. With Salt's help, he manages to steal a civilian's phone. Using that device, Barkley successfully contacts Kirby through a secret number that cannot be traced by UNIT. During the call, Barkley explains that he and Salt are now fugitives. Barbara agrees to help by lending them her car so they can escape together. Before ending the call, they agree on a meeting point. Unfortunately, UNIT soldiers are already monitoring Barbara and Kirby, which allows them to track Barkley's destination. When Barkley finally arrives at the meeting location, Barbara warns him that he and Salt have walked into a trap. At the same time, Kate orders UNIT forces to prepare for an operation to secure both of them. Not long after, troops led by Oscar arrive with the goal of taking Salt away from UNIT. Oscar knows their location because one of his men is secretly embedded within UNIT forces. During his communication with Kate, Oscar makes it clear that he will capture Salt at any cost. Meanwhile, Kate uncovers solid evidence proving that the video confession from Salt was fabricated. She confirms that Salt is innocent. However, Oscar refuses to back down, determined to use Salt as a weapon to dominate the Sea Devils. Soon, UNIT forces and Oscar's troops prepare to clash over control of Salt. As tensions peak, Salt releases a powerful scream that overwhelms everyone nearby. In the chaos, she follows Barkley's urging and escapes toward the river. As time passes, the Sea Devils begin capturing household pets to use as food. When this issue is raised during peace negotiations, Tide shows no remorse, arguing that humans have been freely consuming sea life for generations. At the same time, Barkley becomes a public enemy and starts receiving death threats. This happens after the public learns that he helped Salt escape. For his safety, UNIT decides not to detain him and instead places him in a guarded hotel used as a safe house. From that point on, Barkley lives under constant surveillance. A few days later, UNIT uncovers a shocking development. The Sea Devils have melted a massive portion of the Antarctic ice sheet, releasing nearly 3 trillion liters of water. Kate's team realizes that the earlier attacks involving pets were merely a distraction, allowing the Sea Devils to melt the ice without interference. Even worse, the Sea Devils plan to use this strategy to trigger massive floods capable of wiping out humanity. During the next round of negotiations, Tide warns that humans have 5 years to restore the world's oceans. If they fail, the planned destruction will begin. Sometime later, Barkley is allowed to meet with Barbara. During this time, he realizes he has fallen in love with Salt. With help from a corrupted UNIT officer watching over him, Barkley manages to obtain a device that can hack security cameras. Using that device, he secretly slips away to a nearby coastline with an 8-hour time limit. Each time he reaches the shore, he dives into the water and calls out to Salt, hoping they can reunite. But despite his efforts, she never appears. Meanwhile, Oscar is seen speaking with a member of UNIT who has been secretly monitoring Barkley. It turns out this person is actually Oscar's spy. That is how Oscar has been able to track Barkley's movements along the coastline. Not long after, General Dominique, one of Oscar's allies, shares critical information. She reveals that Salt has been unable to hear Barkley's calls because the government activated a device designed to block Sea Devil communication. Dominique promises to temporarily shut down the interference so that Barkley can meet Salt again. However, Oscar plans to use that meeting as part of his scheme to manipulate Salt and push forward his mission against the Sea Devils. The next day, Kate meets with the British Prime Minister, Harry. Through her investigation with UNIT, she uncovers signs that Harry and Oscar are secretly working together on a classified program known as Severance. Despite Kate pressing him for answers, Harry refuses to explain its true purpose. Still, his behavior convinces her that the project is deeply connected to the Sea Devils. As time passes, corrupt members of UNIT and Oscar's operatives work together to quietly take control of Barkley. While he is unconscious, Oscar's team injects him with a virus. When Barkley wakes up, he heads to the shoreline as usual and calls out for Salt, unaware that the virus is already inside his body. The following day, Barkley finally reunites with Salt, and the moment feels deeply emotional. What he does not realize is that this reunion only happens because Dominique temporarily disables the communication jammer. Before parting, Salt warns that there is still time to prevent a war between humans and Sea Devils. She urges Barclay to convince humanity to request an accord. However, she refuses to explain what the accord truly means, believing that knowledge could cause even greater danger. Still, she promises that war can be avoided if the Sea Devils agree to it. Afterward, Barclay and Kate's team begin investigating the meaning of the accord. While the word itself suggests harmony, its meaning to the Sea Devils may be far more complex. Because of this uncertainty, Kate's team sees the request as a dangerous gamble. Eventually, they send a formal signal requesting the accord, hoping it will prevent an all-out war. Days pass with no response. Suddenly, UNIT's monitoring systems detect that all Sea Devil activity has completely stopped. Soon after, shocking reports emerge of Sea Devil bodies appearing across the world. Under Kate's orders, scientists examine the remains and discover that the Sea Devils died from a virus that does not affect humans. Even more alarming, the virus has wiped out 90% of their population. Based on the evidence, Kate begins to suspect that the virus is part of the secret severance program. Later, Barclay once again steps into the role of humanity's representative during the final peace negotiations. Just before the talks begin, he is informed that UNIT still cannot prove the virus was created by severance. For now, the truth behind the outbreak remains a mystery. As the final negotiations begin, Salt arrives as the representative of the Sea Devils. This happens because Tide is believed to have died from the virus. Salt then announces that humanity has officially won the war against the Sea Devils. The victory is absolute since nearly 90% of their population has been wiped out, and they no longer have the strength to fight back. As a gesture of sympathy, humanity offers the Mariana Trenches a new home for the remaining Sea Devils. The location is promised to be safe from human interference. Salt accepts the offer, but she also makes it clear that from this moment on, the Sea Devils fear humanity. That fear exists because the Sea Devils have discovered evidence that the virus was created by humans. Even so, they still do not know who was truly responsible for creating and spreading it. Deep down, Salt believes that one day, the power of the ocean itself will judge humanity for its crimes against her kind. After the negotiations end, Kate feels no sense of victory. She knows that humanity only won by wiping out most of the Sea Devils. Unbeknownst to the others, Oscar and his allies confirmed that the virus was indeed part of the secret severance program. They had secretly planted the virus inside Barclay so it could transfer to Salt when they shared a kiss. Without realizing it, Salt became the source of the virus that destroyed her own people. Moments later, chaos erupts as the barrier of the waterway begins to crack and massive amounts of water threaten to flood the area. Everyone rushes to escape, including Barclay. Kate quickly pulls him away to protect him from the angry crowd outside. She later brings Barclay to the shore, where he reunites with Salt in an intimate moment. Soon after, Barclay is shocked to see gills forming on his neck. Salt reveals that this transformation is the effect of the accord. In the end, the Sea Devils choose not to complete the accord with humanity after learning that the virus was created by humans. Salt explains that the accord is a unique way for Sea Devils to make peace. Because of its effect, Barclay has now become part Sea Devil himself, allowing him to live freely in the ocean alongside Salt. So the moral of the story is never dump trash in the ocean, never trust secret government projects, and definitely never kiss a fish person unless you are emotionally prepared to grow gills and change species.